So you just got your hands on a new Pixel 11 phone, but you're worried about protecting it. Despite Google's big claims this year that the Pixel 11 series is the most durable ever, they are still mostly glass and aluminum and will shatter or dent pretty easily if you drop them. So you need a case to protect it, but what case should you get? Well, I'm here to help, as I will be going over a big stack of cases from 5 of the most popular brands to tell you what to expect from each one. I'll also talk a bit about a few screen protectors at the end, so stick around for that. If any of these cases catch your eye, there are links in the description for all of them. In the interest of disclosure, I want to point out that this video is not sponsored in any way, but the products I'm showing you were sent to me by the brands free of charge. But they didn't see this video or approve it beforehand. With that out of the way, let's jump right in with one of the most well-known brands in cases, OtterBox. OtterBox has always been known for their very thick, very durable cases. They're the kind of cases that you could throw directly onto asphalt and your phone would survive without a problem. But OtterBox doesn't only make cases like this. So let me start with something that you might not think about when it comes to that brand, which is this Lumen case. It's actually pretty minimal for a case, which I appreciate. It doesn't add that much bulk to the phone, and its crystal clear design allows you to show off your phone's colorway, in this case, the canyon color of the Pixel 11 Pro. I like that there are anchors on either side of the bottom of the case, so you can loop a lanyard or a wrist strap through there if you want. I also like that there's no obvious OtterBox branding. It is there on the left side, but it's subtle, and you probably wouldn't even know it's there if you didn't go looking for it. I also really like the Pixelsnap circle on the back. The magnets are very strong and charging works flawlessly. One critique I have here is that there is a significant gap between the protective case and the camera bar. This probably won't affect the protection of the camera, but dust, lint, and other stuff is definitely going to get in there over time. This is actually a common problem across most of the cases I'll show you today. But all in all, this is a solid case that offers plenty of protection without a ton of bulk. Keep in mind that OtterBox stuff is usually kind of expensive across the board. As simple as this Lumen case is, it has a list price of $50, which that's a lot. Another thing to note about this case and all the cases I'm going to talk about is that if it works for the Pixel 11 Pro, it will also work for the Pixel 11. The camera bar on the Pixel 11 doesn't jut out nearly as far as the Pixel 11 Pro, so some cases will look a bit silly, but the phone fits just fine and will be just as protected. Also, the cases I'm showing here are for the Pixel 11 Pro and Pixel 11, but all the brands also sell cases for the XL. So no matter what slab Pixel 11 phone you have, they'll have something for you. If you have a Pixel 11 Pro Fold, your mileage may vary on this. Anyway, over here is a more traditional OtterBox case in the Defender series. This is for people who want serious protection. You need to disassemble the case to get your phone inside, which includes removing the soft protective cover and splitting the plastic frame. Not only is it a pain to do this, but once you get it all together, it's a real pain to get it back out. This is good for protection, obviously, but bad if you're the kind of person who likes to jump from case to case. I would not recommend that with this one. The case also has a sizable gap between the protective layer and the camera bar, so there will probably be a lot of junk in there over time. It's also a pain to get to the USB-C port, as there's a rubber cover on the case. Honestly, these kinds of cases just aren't for me, but of all the cases I'm showing you today, this is the one that will offer the most protection. So if that's what you want, then this is what you should get. Just remember that OtterBox equals kind of expensive, and this case starts at $70. Okay, we can't talk about cases for the Pixel 11 series without talking about Google's own official Pixelsnap cases. There are a few notable benefits to these. First, the case colors exactly match the phone, so the Canyon case is a perfect match for the Canyon color. This also applies to the regular Pixel 11 phones, as you can see with Hibiscus here. Another advantage is that Google designed the phones, so the cases Google designed are perfectly fitted to them. Note how there's no gap here between the camera bar and the case, like we saw with the OtterBox models. I also really like how the cases feel. They are soft to the touch, and the buttons on the side are exact replicas of the ones on the phone itself, so the tactile feel is the same. Of course, Pixelsnap is also supported, but there are no lanyard anchors included, unfortunately. Really, the only downside to these cases is their cost relative to what you get. The normal price is $50, which is a lot for a case that doesn't really offer much beyond a silicone cover. Still, for people who love the way a Pixel looks, this is the case that best preserves that. Next up is a company called Mous. They make elegant but durable cases, and this is part of the Limitless series, which includes a walnut back cover that looks and feels great. Like the OtterBox case I talked about before, it has 2 anchor points on either side for straps, and I also like that the case is thinner where you hold it but thicker in the corners, adding extra protection where you need it most. But there's still a bit of a gap for the camera bar, but not too much, which is nice. One thing I will say is that I don't like that every mouse case has its logo on the back. Seriously, this case would look so much nicer if the logo weren't there. This is even more of a downside when you realize this case costs $75. Why am I paying $75 for a case that advertises the brand so prominently? Shouldn't they be discounting their customers for that? Anyway, Mous does make other cases like this one in its super thin line. The Aramid fiber design keeps the case incredibly thin. Seriously, it feels like it adds almost nothing to the size of the phone. On the Canyon Pixel 11 Pro, you can even see the gold rails peeking out a bit, and the case is so thin that the phone's actual buttons can poke through, which I like a lot. The only real downside to this case is that the edges are kind of sharp. When you're holding the phone in one hand, your pinky and ring fingers will brush up against the edge and it's not super comfortable. Once again, that logo is an eyesore too. I would suggest this to people who are looking for a case that is barely there, but keep in mind that this will offer a lot less protection. The Aramid fiber case will protect your phone from scratches and drops on a relatively soft surface, but if one of the corners hits concrete dropping out of your pocket, there's not much this case will do for you in that situation. Also, since this case is made of Aramid fiber, which is a premium material, it is still very expensive with a typical price of $70. Next up is dbrand with its famous Ghost case, although now we're into Ghost 2.0. This kind of offers the best of all worlds. The back is crystal clear so you can see your phone's color, but the edges are a rubbery material that is very grippy thanks to the ridges that go all around it. Around the corners, the case gets slightly thicker to better protect against corner drops. Unfortunately, there's nowhere to put a lanyard or wrist strap, but this is the only case out of this entire stack that actually lines up perfectly with the camera bar. Well, except for the one made by Google anyway. Also, just like all other dbrand Ghost cases, the company has a no yellowing guarantee. If the clear covering of the back ever yellows, you can get a free replacement. And that's good for life, so that's pretty sweet. dbrand is also not as expensive as OtterBox or Mous. The Ghost 2.0 case has a list price of $50, which is the same as the official Google case. Considering it has that lifetime anti-yellowing guarantee and the grippy sides, this might be my top choice across all the cases I've seen. And the last case here comes from Speck. This one is kind of like a happy medium between the tough as a brick Defender case from OtterBox and the soft silicone case from Google. It's tough, but it doesn't have the plastic shell that the OtterBox case has, so it's much easier to get on and off. It also has a soft touch to it. Not nearly as soft feeling as the Google case, but pretty soft nonetheless. It also doesn't add a ton of bulk to the overall phone, which I always appreciate. However, this case is probably the worst of the bunch when it comes to the camera visor gap. Just look at that, I could fly a plane through that. The biggest thing missing here though is Pixelsnap. Even though the magnets aren't there, magnetic wireless charging does still work, but the magnetic connection is super weak because it needs to go through the case to get to the phone. So the magnets won't stay together long. I also don't like how enormous the logo is on the back here, but once again, that's just my personal preference. The thing I will say about this Speck case though is that it is by far the cheapest of the bunch at a list price of just $25. If you want a decent case from a trusted brand but don't want to spend a gazillion dollars on it, this is probably the best one to go for. Just remember that Pixelsnap isn't on board. Okay, let's talk screen protectors real quick. I have two here, the OtterBox Glass Protector and dbrand's Prism 2.0. Both of them look and feel great when installed, are easy to put on thanks to the installation shell that comes with them, and will help to protect your investment from scratches and scuffs. However, the decision between these is really easy. dbrand's Prism 2.0 comes with two screen protectors for $34.95, and OtterBox's comes with one for $39.99. So yeah, save yourself $5 and double your return by just going with dbrand already. No matter which screen protector you get, always remember to go into Android settings and set up your fingerprints again. You want to make sure you do this every time you replace the protector, as the extra space between your finger and the display could cause your fingerprint scans to be slightly less effective. To do this, just go to Settings, Security and Privacy, Device Unlock, and then Fingerprint. Enter your PIN, delete all the existing fingerprints, and then you can add all your fingers back in. Be sure to tick the Optimize for Screen Protector toggle before you finish. Remember that all the products discussed today are linked in the description. Using those affiliate links to buy things helps me out, doesn't cost you extra, and helps ensure this channel keeps on going. Don't forget to like and subscribe before you go, and if you want to learn more about the Pixel 11 Pro, don't miss my 25-minute long review, which goes over literally everything new about the phone. I'll see you all down in the comments.